Welcome to Roundhouse Roulette, a Walker, Texas Ranger podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recap and review one of the 200 existing Walker, Texas Ranger episodes randomly selected by Roundhouse Roulette. I'm Evan Dalton, here with my brother Adam.
What's going on?
And our fellow Power Angel, Mr. Bob Leahy.
Praise be, guys. Praise be.
Well, we'd like to thank you all for joining us as we discuss the intersection of sports betting and religious fundraising. Of course, that means today we'll be recapping and reviewing Season 7, Episode 21, Power Angels, where Walker and the team have to thwart some would-be thieves who are looking to steal money from a religious fundraiser. Also, there's another shooting competition.
Okay.
but before we put on our Victoria's Secret Angels costumes and head on down to the firing range, join us as we pull up a seat at CD's Bar and Grill. Elephant in the room here. I don't know, for some reason my voice is fading, but I'm just going to lean into it.
Well, I'm glad that you're here in sickness with us, Evan, and that we're all here at CD's so you can give us the germs, you know?
Honestly, though, I would say we're probably socially distanced enough.
I hope so.
There's little risk here.
Bobby, do you trust Evan?
I do, yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Thanks.
Glad somebody does, yeah. What does CD have on tap for us here this week?
Oh, my. This is quite the can here. Looks like we just found some gold.
Yeah, it looks like something that you know would be great in Texas, and maybe that's why he picked it up.
Yeah, this looks like a Lucky 7th anniversary hazy IPA from Printers Ale Manufacturing Company, and they are way out in. I'm going to try to pronounce this, and I'm sure I'll get it incorrectly. Carrollton, Georgia, and if you're wondering, that's with 2 R's and 2 L's.
What does their menu say about this?
Nothing. The can is incredibly Spartan. I had to look up the address from the interwebs.
Okay.
But it is a hazy IPA. From the illustration, there is a person at a bar with 2 right hands drinking a pint of fizzy IPA, and his head is shaped like a number 7 and melting onto the bar like a gold number 7. So
okay,
this means something to somebody, but not me.
Well, this is on their website here. It says big nose of melon, apricot, and mango, soft and pillowy mouthfeel as you expect from this style. This beer delivers loads of juiciness and tropical fruit. Allura hops really shine through. So,
okay.
And we just want to give a shout out to the band Thunder and Rain, who picked this up for CD while they were on their tour, and got it from good old Georgia. If you're into some bluegrass, check them out. And CD definitely is a big fan in a creepy way. So
I've heard that CD is all about juicy melons.
he definitely is.
He's got a nose for melons.
Well, let's see how his nose is. Let's crack these suckers.
My nose is not smelling melon. It's smelling fruit. I guess it is a little fruity. Okay. All right.
It's good. This is really good. Not over the top. Not too hoppy. This could be dangerous. I'm feeling lucky, guys. Lucky 7 hazy IPA lucky, you know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah, the flavor doesn't linger very long, so it makes you want to drink more of it. It's kind of dangerous.
Danger.
Awesome, man. Well, why don't we jump into the socials here where we have a little fallout from our recent podcast on the 2-parter, The Reunion. We heard from Justin Dawson on Twitter. Evan, what does Justin say?
I like how this episode starred Stuart Whitman as the Ranger with cancer, and then he played Chuck Norris's mentor in the President's Man TV movie. Like how Chuck always seemed to find jobs for friends.
I didn't know that. I still haven't seen The President's Man, but I think I own like 8 copies of it because at the discount DVD store where I picked up every Chuck Norris DVD I would find in the bargain bin, they'd always have like Chuck Norris collection, and it's like all the President's Men movies. So I've got them. We got to dig into them, but you know who else is in the President's Man movie?
No clue.
Clarence Gilliard.
Judson Mills. Judson Mills also is in that as a different character. And
This is going to be a spicy pickle when we get there, huh?
no doubt. And I think Mignon also script supervised on that as well. And a lot of people who worked on Walker worked on it. So, yeah, very cool that they kept it in the family and production team and whatnot.
We owe it to ourselves and others to watch that, I guess.
Yeah, so thanks for putting that on our radar, Justin. But not to be outdone, we heard from Aaron Medina on Facebook, and I kind of posted that actor L.Q. Jones was also in that episode, who was in Lone Wolf McQuade with Chuck Norris. What else does he say here?
He also says that we missed the fact that Lone Wolf McQuade's captain was also part of the Walker Texas Ranger reunion episode.
Good eye, Aaron, and thanks for keeping us honest. This podcast really is striving to be IMDb, you know? And in fact,
there were definitely episodes where, you know, we literally got into trouble IMDBing things.
Right.
So we try not to delve down too deeply.
Yeah. This podcast is supposed to accentuate your IMDb experience, you know? We can't possibly read off every credit for every person. That would be a whole podcast. Those things have tons of people that work on them, Aaron.
Don't yell at our listeners.
I'm sorry. I'm getting heated. I'm getting really heated. Speaking of which, let's move to talking about Child of Hope, one of my favorite episodes we just did. Darlene Rhodes on Instagram. What'd she say, Bob?
Hold on, the font's too little. I don't have my glasses.
She didn't say that. Darlene.
No, she didn't say that. She did say Chuck's real-life grandson, Max Carlos Norris. Max's dad, Mike, was behind the scenes directing. Great episode.
Okay, so we definitely talked about how Max, Chuck's grandson, played a baby Max in the episode, and Chuck got peed on by said baby Max.
Yep.
But we didn't really get into the fact that Max's maniacal dad, you know, was directing said diaper changing session.
3 generations.
He essentially directed his son to pee on his dad.
You don't think that was special effects?
I mean,
You think that was real? Kid had some stream.
It could have been practical effects.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
that's kind of what I meant. Yeah.
no, I mean, they
You can't-
strive for.
you
This is
can't
a realistic show.
You
Yeah.
can't fake that chemistry, Bob.
Oh man, it was actually they were just like, oh yeah, hey, you know, Dad, do you mind changing his diaper real quick? Roll camera. Oh, that got me good. The tip of that just got me, Odell.
Oh wow, that's a deep cut,
Yeah,
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we'll leave that in there. See if you guys know what we're talking about. Thank you, Darlene. More trivia. Again, we try to catch this stuff. We can't catch it all. Thank you for keeping us honest. Thank you for keeping us in the know.
And for sharing with us so we can share with others.
We heard from a friend of Pod and a guest of Pod, Mondo from the Talented Slackers. He sent us what looks like a picture from a Hayes Cooper flashback episode of Walker that we have yet to spin on the Roundhouse Roulette wheel.
He's commenting on the fact that in any timeline, Alex is always found crying about something.
It's probably, you know, because of Hayes Cooper's stoic nature that he just is not giving her what she needs, right?
God, this screen grab, and like back then they were like going to location, right? For a lot of this stuff.
Right.
But it looks like someone asked AI to create like an image.
I was
They,
thinking that
describe
too.
this. It looks so fake. But you know they're like in Oregon or something.
Right.
He looks like de-aged.
I mean, he looks good. He doesn't.
He does. Yeah.
He doesn't look too far from what he was wearing in the movie Forest Warrior. So
Yeah, I think they reused wardrobes a bit there.
we had a few comments on our website. this person apparently is going through the Roundhouse Roulette podcast archive that we have here and dug into Showdown at Casa Diablo Part 2 and felt the need to comment on our page. What does he say there?
Go for it, Bob.
I'll take this one. Sorry, I had to find the screen.
I'll get the next one.
Yeah, so they say, hey, I know this was done a while ago, but I must note that I watched this episode recently on Hulu. There was a recap and a small cold open. I thought it was weird that the DVD omitted that. Well, I think, haven't we talked about this? Like, if you're watching the DVDs, do you really need the recap?
Probably not. Although some of them have it on the DVDs and some of them don't. I'm wondering, did E Squared see an extra scene that we didn't see? Let's start the whole thing over again. Let's go do Showdown at Casa Diablo. I think maybe we should reboot the podcast here. What do you guys think?
I think if we're going to go back, if we're going to go back and redo any episodes that are multi-parters, we got to go Chairman Saga.
Oh yeah.
I feel like
those need the recaps.
Saga. Half of the Chairman Saga was just recaps. Like, all right, well, now that we've recapped that, we've got 5 minutes left for the episode here.
Right. We showed you all the best parts from the first one and every single other one. So, yeah.
It's just an endless loop of Lazarus shoving someone off a roof.
And technically, I mean, Walker Texas Ranger has been known to recap every roundhouse kick by showing it from multiple angles multiple times, as they do in this episode we're about to dig into. So,
okay, feel free to edit this out. What would your reaction be if we were just watching one of these like season 7 episodes or something, and just halfway through the episode, Lazarus shows up again? No explanation. He's still in the same role, but he's just there.
I mean, just chilling.
Yeah.
And he rolls.
No. Lazarus never just chills.
He wouldn't be chilling.
Yeah, he'd roll somebody off the roof.
He's 0 or 100 miles an hour. There's no in between here.
I mean, that might have been my favorite kill in Walker was by Lazarus when he rolled that poor woman off the roof.
Roof roll.
Yeah, she
roof rolled.
What the heck? What was that? You don't roll someone off the roof. You did a roundhouse kick off the roof. He was gentle. At least he was gentle with it.
Yeah, definitely getting thrown off a roof for sure.
Wow. All right. Well, shout out to Lazarus, Roger Yon. Moving on here, as in our last podcast, we recreated one of the songs from the show. It hit us, and we had to recreate it. You know, sometimes these songs really hit home to people who watch Walker episodes, and it looks like
I think we'll hit that pretty hard this episode as well. Maybe season 7 where the music really peaks here. I don't know.
We might, there might be a few bangers in this episode. Who I don't know. We'll talk about it. But Cheryl C. Commented on the music of Chuck Norris, our blog on our website.
Cheryl says there was a song on season 7, episode 8, Second Chances, at the end that was so beautiful, ... I cannot find it anywhere, ... Any thoughts? Well, we have many thoughts on finding the music, and we're pretty sure they don't exist anywhere except in the head of one person whom we're going to try to rope in, maybe.
We think we might have found the songwriter who wrote some of these, and we're going to reach out, and that is kind of our dream interview, is to talk about that. But you can really only find these songs in the episode, and I think what is becoming part of our secondary mission is we're going to recreate some of these songs, and who knows, maybe we'll release a compilation of these tunes on Spotify once we get enough of them done.
I mean, imagine if we could access the originals, though, right?
Oh, yeah. But regardless, I mean, she says the best guess on the lyrics are...
This is dedication here. I'm not sure how many times Cheryl had to hit the pause button. If it were me, it would have been about 50 times. But this is Cheryl's best guess on the lyrics here, and they are: if hope is an angel, how far can she fly? Her tender wings carry her, soaring up high. If fate is a blessing, bless me with no doubt. If time is our healer, let time not run out. If brother kills brother, whose guns will be clean?
Whoa.
If our lives are blinded, then what will be seen? Send down an angel to one who's most adored. Stand by her side and be with her, Lord.
Lord. Yeah, I mean, that is poetry. Yeah.
I mean, like this beer, it's some heady stuff.
It definitely was. And Cheryl, eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to get some answers for you. In the meantime, just keep replaying that 1 minute segment from the Walker episode on Hulu, and you should be good. Mm-hmm. And listeners out there, let us know. Do you want us to recreate these songs, or do you think it's just annoying?
Any news?
This came up. An Oklahoma Museum of Pop expands collection with items from Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, mind you, Chuck Norris is from Oklahoma, and hence this is the deal. But this is in Tulsa, also home to a band known as Hanson.
That was an odd reference, and
yeah,
very very enthusiastic of you.
Bop. Yeah, so I'm going to pull this up here. But yeah, Evan's wife, Marie, is a big Hanson fan, supposedly. Am I correct?
Yeah, who isn't?
I think the teenage version of her certainly was. Can't say that they get played too much in the household these days.
I actually listened to an interview with Hanson last month, and it was all three of them, and they all have like 8 kids. And I listened to the whole podcast, 2-hour podcast with them, and I don't know what that says about me. But we're gonna move on here to this article.
I mean, they've been linked to some pretty weird shit. So
yeah, I was reading about them after.
Not great.
It didn't really come through in the interview. I was like, oh, these guys are kind of cool, and I was like, that's cool. They're still doing the thing, but then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. That's why Wikipedia was invented. You know what I mean?
I don't know what you guys are talking about, so if you excuse me, I'm going to go and look this up on Wikipedia.
Yeah, while I play this video, Bob, pull up the Hanson Wikipedia. Apparently, the Bob Dylan...
It would be under the controversies tab, I'm sure.
The Bob Dylan and Woody Guthrie museums are also in Tulsa. And I was reading somewhere that when you go to the Bob Dylan Museum, they go, oh, hey, this is Taylor Hanson. Welcome to the Bob Dylan Museum. It's like, wait, what?
Sure. Just sure.
All right. Evan, can you describe what looks to be this picture, the still of the video before we hit play?
Looks like the OK Pop Museum got a collection of Walker, Texas Ranger artifacts, and the thumbnail for this video looks like they're photographing stuff for some promotional material, and they've got what appears to be Walker's famous sidearm with the holster, as well as a sick pair of what one can only assume are stretchy black jeans, a cool belt, and then that jacket.
Right, his jacket that with like kind of the Native American flair on it with the sheepskin inside.
It's got like the woven strip across it, like horizontally across the sleeves and chest, and the rest of it's like black.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, I have been watching some of those on eBay because I want to believe I'm Walker.
I feel like if we went to go visit the OK Pop Museum and then we stopped at like a Goodwill down the street, we'd probably find like 30 of them there.
I hope so.
They wouldn't have been worn by Walker, but...
A little known fact about Hanson, too, while we're talking about Hanson.
Okay.
They have a Hanson Day in Tulsa every year. So, in case you're looking to do a little vacationing, Evan.
Sounds like a no love lost there between Oklahoma and Hanson. Love it.
What do you... No, I mean, they love it. All right, I'm going to hit play on this video.
That's great.
A pop museum in downtown Tulsa is still gathering collections as they work to secure funding to open. And they've recently received some items from the hit TV show Walker, Texas Ranger.
News on 6's Michaela Glenn spoke with the museum as they still work to raise more money. Michaela?
More money.
This morning, leaders with the museum say they currently have 4 people on staff working to get this museum up and running. But right now, there's still no word on when they hope to open to the public. Governor Stitt signed Senate Bill 1155, establishing a fund to
I want to know whose instruments they're showing right now.
Those pickups were wrong for a Strat.
Look at that P bass.
There's a humbucker and a
in the silent phase of their
weird, look like 80s thing, yeah.
To move into the public phase later this year. Crumweedy says he's always enjoyed seeing
there it is.
There it
film
is,
and television, including Chuck Norris, who is from Ryan, Oklahoma. He says they will continue acquiring collection pieces to feature different stories of Oklahomans who have impacted pop culture, including costumes and props from Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, they got a script?
We are continuing to build this collection. We are telling the story of Oklahoma pop culture, which is a very broad topic. And so this is a lot of stories that we're telling.
Is it though?
And
Very.
collections that help us visually tell those stories is really important.
Crumweedy says once the museum opens, the 3rd floor of the museum will focus on music and the 2nd floor will focus on film and television. Live in Tulsa, Michaela Glenn, Oklahoma's Own News on 6.
First here at 10 o'clock, porch pirates are caught on camera stealing Christmas presents just moments after they were delivered. Thanks for joining us.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Let's just watch the Oklahoma news clips.
Please.
Holy moly.
Okay.
Yeah, Evan, what do you got, Evan? Spit it out.
What are they reporting?
There's going to be a museum.
They're like, there's going to be a museum, but they're not really. They need more money. But they're in the silent fundraising phase.
Right.
They're not sure when they're going to open, and you can't go visit it. But it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
And the way they're getting people excited is mentioning Walker, Texas Rangers pants are going to be there.
Yeah.
Which for a lot of, a lot of guys and ladies, guys and ladies would be excited about that, myself included. All right, so I'm putting this out there, guys.
Are you going to get cash for gold or?
No, I'm putting this out there. We don't have anything crazy here at, Roundhouse Roulette headquarters, but wouldn't it be ridiculous if we got an item of ours on loan to the Tulsa exhibit?
How about the bronze statue behind me? That's got to be worth something.
I have the very first script of Walker, Texas Ranger that I got off eBay off a stunt person during the pandemic, and when we sang to Chuck Norris, I got him to sign it.
Ooh. You got to make your move there, man.
I'm going to reach out to the museum. I'll say, but you guys got to be open first. It's not going to be chilling there.
And I'll be honest with you, you've got to expect to never see that thing back again.
Yeah, once it's gone, it's gone. But
it's gone. You're not going to see that again.
And that's fine. That's fine because it's all about the ridiculousness that we can say on loan from the Roundhouse Roulette collection.
And you can say, I once had something stolen from me by the OK Pop Museum.
It belongs in a museum. All right. Well, so that could be kind of cool.
Guys, I'm caught up in the Hanson controversy. So
okay, spell it out.
Yes.
But yeah, give us.
I don't think we need to go into it. But apparently, Zach, who was the drummer, who I'm
something about burner accounts on social media.
Yeah, a bunch of pro-gun memes, transphobic, racist, homophobic, sexist. These are all words that come up. So not great, not great. And then
this
later
was a
that month,
bubblegum pop group.
Yeah, I know. Later that month,
hell?
Isaac, who was the elder statesman of the group, as I see here, he addressed the COVID-19 pandemic and wrote that Christians would soon have to decide whether their faith was more important than their fear, due to Christmas, Easter, and Thanksgiving being canceled by the government. So some rough stuff from the Hanson brothers. Breaking news, you heard it here first, that it happened 4 years ago.
Okay. Well, there could be, yeah, and no offense, if you guys have some of the same views who watch Walker, Texas Ranger, I'm sure there's some crossover.
You think? If we keep watching, I think we'll have the same views.
I'm starting to believe that. Well, I got a number of texts this week because Chuck Norris is at it again. Evan, you texted me. Another buddy of mine texted me. Chuck Norris now has a dog food, okay? And it's Lone Wolf Ranch pet food. Let's pull up this website here, guys, and dig in.
Let's chow down.
Yeah.
A few comments on the fact that Chuck Norris is selling dog food. I feel like Lone Wolf Ranch is a really missed opportunity, but that seems to be the thing that he really harkens back to is Lone Wolf McQuaid. And he doesn't want to go back to Top Dog, which I feel like Top Dog would be a much better choice for
Top dog food
brand.
Yeah, that would have been way better. Yeah, but,
Dog food, it's right there.
It's in the name. Yeah, I don't know why you didn't do that, but
I mean, some questions from the branding, like Lone Wolf Ranch. Like, what if I have 2 dogs? Do I have to kill one of them so that I can feed the other one Lone Wolf Ranch food? Like, what?
Yes.
What are we doing here?
Yes, you do.
good question.
You can only have one
the
wolf.
packaging. I know the packaging has just one dog. It's the golden retriever, looking out over a farm.
Right, and these don't look. These look like bags of beef jerky that size that you rip the top off of, right? Or like a snack. A single bag of this is like $40. Is that normal for dog food?
Dude, dog food is ridiculously expensive. It's frightening.
All right.
So I mean, I wouldn't second guess it, but
all right.
That's the golden retriever there on the website too.
Yeah, this is it. We're looking at it. It says formulated with ranch raised beef, nutrient packed organ meats. Okay,
That makes sense.
Nice, nice.
Gut health vegetables, beef cartilage and marrow.
Oh, all right, marrow, nice.
Marrow rich in glucosamine. I can't even read all this stuff.
Glucosamine and chondroitin.
But here's the real kicker
Nice.
here. Literally the kicker here is a precise selection of Chuck Norris's potent power foods.
You remember Roundhouse Provisions, guys?
Dude, it's the same thing.
Yeah, they didn't sell them. They're like,
That's exactly what I wanted to bring up. Guys, I have Roundhouse Provisions website up in another tab. I'm going to start sharing it right now.
Here's a question: is ranch raised beef cows that have been raised on ranch dressing and only ranch dressing?
yes, that's correct. Hidden Valley
Hell
Ranch.
yes.
It's possible. Yeah.
That's the same photo of Chuck. I don't know if you still have the other page up. He's got
Yeah,
the same
I got it.
hat. It's the same head, but he's got a different shirt. They photoshopped a different shirt on him.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
Go back to the
Nice.
other one.
All right, we'll go back.
He looks like a dog owner there. Oh, he looks like a bodybuilder there.
Exactly.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. But
Okay.
needless to say, ever the businessman, Chuck Norris is at it again with his dog food. We've talked about it here on this podcast. He has doomsday prep food. And yeah, my first thought was maybe that didn't sell and he's repurposing it for his dog food.
Or it all just comes from the same place.
Yeah, or it's all the same thing for dogs or humans. And honestly, you should be eating what your dog's eating. You know what I mean? It's
Dogs
only
deserve good
fair.
food. Yeah.
They do. So I don't even knock it if that's the case.
It's true. But I mean, you got to ask yourself a question. If you've got a dog, are you feeding your dog Chuck Norris approved dog food? And can you live with yourself if the answer is no or yes?
Or yes.
Anyway, Chuck, good for you. You got another thing in there. Obviously, we're not sponsored. You know, one of my favorite TV shows, obviously, is Walker, Texas Ranger. My second favorite TV show is a little TV show, Batman 66, right? Did you guys know that Burt Ward has been selling dog food for years, and he claims it extends the dog's life?
Oh my, that packaging is the busiest looking packaging
This
ever. It looks like a comic book.
This website is amazing. I feel like I'm going to have a seizure. Look at
feel
the
like if you-
labels.
If you order from that website, you're either going to get what you ordered or you're going to get like 400 tropical fish delivered to your house.
Look at the dog bed he's got for his. Oh, what is happening here? I mean, Robin from the Batman 60s TV show. Yeah, he's been on TV, multiple TV shows. Talking about this stuff.
So none of us have a dog, right?
Right.
So we can't test this, but the real question would be to purchase both of these.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
And to see which the dog prefers.
Yeah, the non
for science,
the non-GMO ingredients of Burt Ward, aka Robin's pet food, Gentle Giant, or the the Chuck Norris Lone Wolf dog
the packaging
food.
Is outrageous.
It really is.
The Chuck Norris with his secret ingredients. Which one would be preferable?
There's a dog on there that's 27 years old. They claimed.
Yeah.
Birth certificate.
It's seriously
Prove it.
Right. Yep.
We need the long form birth certificate.
Yeah. Incredible. Well, we've really gone off the deep end here.
Look, guys, I think we've been doing a little too much advertising for products. I'm not saying these are dubious products. They could be great. They could be great dog food from Burt Ward and Chuck Norris. Your dog could also live 80 years if they eat this food. I'm not sure.
It's possible.
Some people are saying.
I mean, can you imagine if you had a dog that's 30 years old? That's crazy.
I want a dog that's able to drive me home from the bar. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not going to get that. Although if it's Chuck Norris Superfoods, you could.
Maybe we'll get to testing this dog food down the line here, but I wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Dave Colella, who is a drummer. He plays with David Newbold, who I play with. He texted me this because he and his wife Kim have a business called Earth Dog that they've been doing for 25 years out of Nashville here, and they sell hemp dog collars. He must have seen this Chuck Norris thing come up days ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're going to play an advertisement from them, okay? Chuck Norris and Burt Ward, you're getting your free advertisement. We're going to take it back to a local mom and pop doggy shop, okay? We're doing it right now.
This is going really well. What is this podcast?
This is the Doggy Podcast. We call it Doggy Style.
The Dog Cast.
We can't say doggy style. Snoop has already sued us.
I mean, they got the music on this.
When Kim and I met, she had 2 dogs, and one of the things that she would always do would be, wherever we were shopping or what have you, was looking for cool collars for them. It was always really important to her, and a lot of times that was almost impossible to find. So we started thinking about making our own, and we were putting them on foster dogs that we were fostering for Nashville Humane Society, and the business kind of started from doing that.
There's a lot of pictures of dogs and stylish collars.
Hygienic because it's grown without herbicides and pesticides, and we've heard from many customers with itchy allergic dogs that have had dogs that were losing fur around their neck. They've tried everything, and a hemp collar seems to be the answer time and time again. Since we started in '97, we've continued to use a team of local sewers who work in their own homes and keep our products handmade here in Nashville.
We started our family. She's got your name, she's got my face.
Shout out to Earth Dog. Check them out if you're looking for some dog collars. Keep it local, you know?
Well, local to you, not to me.
Yeah, dude.
Wait. All right, let's look up for some Massachusetts dog collar shops.
Look no further than Dave's Soda and Pet Food City, based in Hadley. If you want to get a weird, obscure, esoteric soda, along with a tropical fish and maybe a bag of your favorite cat litter, look no further than Dave's Soda and Pet Food City.
Oh, okay.
That's a good...
Bob, what do you got?
I got nothing, dude. I don't know.
It's like, you know what? I got to pick up some fish food, and I might as well get myself a can of Moxie. Maybe some Tab soda and some...
Clearly Canadian.
maybe some Tab soda and some Lone Wolf Ranch dog food.
You know, I used to eat Triscuits, but now I actually prefer dog treats.
They're non-GMO, so it's cool.
I'm actually supposed to live to 27 thanks to Burt Ward's dog food. If it works on dogs, imagine what it will do on a human.
Dude, I'm half entertaining the idea of like starting to mail order cat food for our cat from Burt Ward. I just want to see one of those bags.
Anyway, a lot going on in the pet world, and none of us have a dog, so we're gonna move on.
Yeah, we're never gonna get that time back in our lives.
But thank you, Dave, for sharing that news with me. Industry news.
But if we eat a bag of Burt Ward dog food, we'll live a little bit longer, so it's okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it all comes back
We can
around.
waste that time on it.
Yeah, let's watch one of his videos again.
No.
All right. Well, before we move on here, we want to give a shout out to David Wolford, who picked up a Chuck Norris Battle Gear 1986 Kenner action figure from our website, and he is complicit in Roundhouse Roulette. He paid for a month of our hosting with that action figure. And we can't thank you enough, everybody who's done that, just to support and helping us do this ridiculous thing. I guess it's a dog podcast, and I'm not even sure what we're doing.
I'm not sure either. I will say toddlers love the Battle Gear Chuck Norris. Big fans. So
it has been said that some toddler has been teething with said action figure, and it's worked out great.
Well, now he hangs out with... he's called Chuck Man, and Chuck Man hangs out with Charles Xavier, basically a Patrick Stewart action figure. So they're like best pals, and they hang out with a lot of stuffed animals.
Okay, well, we started this a few podcasts ago. I don't know. Seems like we've got some results in the works here because of Roundhouse Nation helping us do more ridiculous stuff here on the podcast. This came up on my Instagram feed. This guy has started coming up. And Bob, have you seen this? Evan, I know you haven't because you're never online.
No.
Have you ever seen this guy? Scott Prop and Roll is the account. And it's like a prop guy who does props for TV shows and movies, and he shows how certain things are done. So I was, this is actually, he does like a dad joke to end every single video and stuff. And so I've been following him, and randomly he put up a video. This is what it looks like when a show is done. There's like a yard sale of all the props from a TV show, and the one that he was going to was the Walker yard sale after the show was over that just happened because they had their last season.
Oh, the new Walker.
Like, the new Walker, yeah. Right. So I looked at this guy. I'm like, wait a minute. He must have worked on Walker, and he looks old enough to have worked on the original Walker. He was the assistant prop guy on the original Walker.
Oh, yes.
For 100+ episodes.
Now, was he the armorer as well?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that, Evan. I have no idea. These are the questions.
So you work in this episode? Because I got some questions.
This is our call to action. I would like Roundhouse Nation to reach out to Scott Prop and Roll and say, hey, you got to talk Walker on Roundhouse Roulette. But I'm going to show you guys a video, and we'll play this in the podcast here. He demonstrates a retractable knife, which happens in Walker all the time, right? People pull like switchblades on Walker almost every episode, right?
They don't show that too often.
Well,
honestly.
they don't ever hit him, so they don't need to retract.
Yeah, but they pull it out.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I rigged a retractable prop knife so it'll stick in your chest. Most productions will use a retractable prop knife, then they'll cut the camera, grab a cut-off blade, and install it into a strap-on appliance, like this. And that's a cut. But I'm going to try to rig this thing to where you can get it all in one shot. You need these retractable knives that are $8 for 4 of them. I mixed up the epoxy and made a little shelf that would hold 3 magnets. I then shaped it to where it would fit behind the blade to help hide it. For good measure, I grabbed a Sharpie and turned the whole thing black so it would kind of blend into the hilt. Now, as long as you hold the magnet side away from camera, it should look good. Let's test it on a spatula. I know the magnets will stick directly to the spatula really well. My question is, how will it work through the shirt? Here we go. It was that easy.
Nice.
Glad I took a stab at it.
Okay, all right.
Fire.
Yeah,
absolute fire.
Right, so this guy rules. Right, give him a follow too, because this guy is hilarious, and he's got a great YouTube channel where he goes through like his whole prop warehouse and stuff. Scott Prop and Roll. Go give him a follow, and if you feel up to it, say, hey, Scott, you should talk some Walker props with Roundhouse Roulette because we'd like to reach out, and he seems like a fun guy to talk to.
Cool. Well, we've got a lot to cover this week, so let's get on into it. If you're watching along at home and don't want any spoilers, hit that pause button and watch Walker, Season 7, Episode 21, Power Angels, and come right on back to us. Oh, welcome back. Let's dig into this one. This episode originally aired on my birthday in 1999. And,
wow, lucky you.
What was I doing in 1999?
Probably crying in your room.
Yeah, I don't know. I was probably playing with a Chuck Norris action figure, let's face it. Something like that.
Yeah, we were probably, listening to Pure Moods and playing Magic the Gathering. That's probably what it was.
That's almost exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Jeff Beck, maybe.
Yeah, back to back. We did a little bit of Blow by Blow by Jeff Beck and then the Pure Moods compilation.
Yeah, I heard people talking today about how Oasis was their first CD. I'm like, no, my first CD was Pure Moods, for sure.
Was that your first CD?
100%.
Because I was hanging out with some recording engineers, and that song came up. Dude.
Is that Enya? In the Age of Innocence? That's Enya. Return to Innocence.
Return to Innocence by Enigma. It also had Sail Away by Enya as well.
Sail away.
Yeah.
But the Return to Innocence has become actually like a meme on TikTok and stuff. It has like a whole new life. But
rock on.
But anyway, yeah, that song in particular, ridiculous. But I was like, oh yeah, my brother definitely had that. I didn't remember that was your first CD. That's bold. That says a lot.
Yep, Newbury Comics picked that puppy up full price right there.
You didn't even get it from Time Life. You got it in real life.
Nope, I did. Yep. And I probably picked up a pack of Magic cards with it. So, spot on.
Yeah. Excellent. So, that was what you were doing when this aired. We probably topped it off with a little Walker. Although I don't remember seeing this episode.
Well, anyways, this puppy opens up on an idyllic scene, Metro Dallas, and then it zooms out, and you assume that it's zooming into a park where some dude is running, and he's got bruises on his face.
Yeah.
And he's jogging, and then he turns the bend and sees a dude with a gun.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, man. Oh, no. And so he tries to run away from the guy with the gun. That never works in Walker. And there are two more dudes with a gun.
Behind him, he's surrounded,
Yeah. Menacing guys like, hey, Kelby. The guy's like, look, man, I just need one more day. I can get you the money. I just need one more day. And the guy's like, your day's over. And then he shoots him.
Yeah.
Now
and then the guy falls to the ground and he's like,
the return to innocence.
That was his return to innocence.
Yeah. Did you notice when the one dude shot him, there were two other guys directly behind him, and one of the guys flinched?
Yeah, because it looked like he would have been hit by the bullet. He didn't even think about his guys. The guy
not
who
at
shot
all.
him.
Not at all. And clearly, this guy, he is not playing it by the book. But in contrast, transition to our second in close to as many episodes, our second competitive shooting competition for law enforcement officers. Come on now, what the heck?
Yeah,
is
was this
going
the
on
same
here?
set too?
It
wasn't
a
exactly
different.
the same, but
I couldn't tell. I bet it's an actual set. This is probably something that is actually functions as
a gun club or something. Yeah.
Right.
I'm really kind of angry at the roulette wheel for serving us up this episode so soon to the reunion double episode where this was done way too much.
It was done a lot. There was a lot of this.
And so we're seeing Texas Rangers do their shooting competition. There's this weird carnival-like wall that when the Rangers walk by, people go into the window. They're just cardboard cutouts kind of thing. And it's is it a police officer? Is it a civilian? And you have to shoot as fast as possible or not shoot as fast as possible. And
yeah, like last time we went over this, this is the type of exercise you'd have in really crappy arcade games too. So watch out for friendly fire, that kind of thing.
Right. You don't want to shoot the civilians, the civvies.
Right. Or the cops. Or the cops.
Or undercover cop. You just want to take out the bad guys. So who is going through this one first?
In this case, we cut to a German team. They're tearing it up at the International Peacekeeper Games. You know, ironically, the Peacekeeper Games, all the competitions are basically just like killing shit. But I guess that's how you keep the peace.
Yeah, we'll get into the games later, but it seemed a little strange. They brought in like a pair of German officers. Were they German Rangers? Is that what they said?
They were German. What were they? It was like German,
just police, I think.
City Rangers. Yeah. It was something like that. It was. Anyways, they weren't actually German. That said,
they got an amazing score, and they got done. Who's up next? But Walker and Trevette, and this German team is almost like the German version of Walker and Trevette, because the older Ranger is talking with Walker like, oh yeah, my partner's a little hot-headed and, you know, so great to be here and really cordial, but Trevette is butting heads with the younger German who's like he looks like a wrestler, right?
Yeah, he's pretty beefy, and he does not have a German accent.
He tries. Sort of.
Sure. I mean, that said, like, you know, not every American's got, you know, an American accent, right? So shouldn't generalize, but this is Walker, Texas Ranger, where they are generalizing. So that guy's clearly trying to do a German accent. And
right.
Basically doing like a Russian accent.
The older Ranger's name is Cosmo. And
yeah. So glad that the Walker-Trevette dynamic has evolved so much by season 7 that they're still falling on the same tropes, and Trevette is still the young, impulsive Ranger, when in reality, like, they've been partners for 7 years. Like, let's not.
Well, something happens. Something happens in this episode that we'll definitely get to that I'd never seen before, and they reference it, and it involves Trevette and Walker.
They become self-aware. The craziest thing is that the Peacekeeper Games are also a fundraiser for a religious church/charity. And this is where we see our guest star, the real guest star of the episode, Lane Smith. You might know him from My Cousin Vinny or some of his other roles. I definitely know him best as his role as
Perry White,
the head of the Daily Planet in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which, as we know, same network, same bet channel at least. So,
and this is a few years after that show was over, but you and I used to watch that too.
Yeah. He is one of the guest stars on the show that, like, sometimes the guest stars really steal it, and he's one of them for sure.
Really?
Wait, Evan, you said that via text. Lane Smith did not steal the show.
All right. Okay.
You're going to have to make your case at the end of this, because I want it.
I will.
It's okay. All right. We'll get into that later, but you're nuts.
Let's face it, though. This episode was up for grabs.
It was, yeah.
I'm going to say right now, this might be one of the most Walker, Texas Ranger episodes we've watched, though.
We'll get into that later.
Up for debate there.
Yeah. If you mean that in the worst way or the best, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
All the ways. All the ways,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so anyways, they're going through this time trial, right? And so as Adam was describing, these cardboard cutouts pop out from behind walls and stuff, and it's up to the competitors to determine which ones they shoot and which ones they don't. And one guy popped out, and I had to hit pause and rewind a bit because there's something off about him. I got a screen grab in the doc for you guys to look at. Like, what? What's wrong with this dude? He looks like he's holding a gun, right? But then they took like a poster or like a newspaper cutout of someone holding a badge. So he's holding a gun in his right hand, but there's a photo of someone's left hand holding a police badge, like pasted over the top of his, like sort of obscuring his hand. Like, if you don't shoot this dude,
he's gonna shoot you.
Like, good on you. Like, he's
I think you should shoot him. Look at, he's menacing.
And they also like pasted police on his chest, but like, come on now. What's happening here?
This looks like it was done at Kinko's in this episode, but in the episode The Reunion, they had interchangeable sections on the pieces of wood, because you know how we were talking about, isn't it the same every time if you see someone go before you? You know what I mean? Because they can only change out so much. But
this one, if they pasted the hand and the police on there, maybe they're switching it up.
They are switching it up. They have interchangeable middle sections that either makes them a civilian, policeman, or bad guy. So that's how people doing the shooting competition can't assume it was the same thing as last time.
Okay.
The big question is, this is international. And as far as I saw, it was just Texas and the German guys, right?
Yeah.
The two German dudes, they were on vacation, and they were just visiting New Braunfels to go to the Schlitterbahn. If you know, you know.
I don't know what that means. Yeah, so this German team, they go through, they kill it. They get done. They're conversing with Walker and Trevette, who are up next. And Trevette kind of gets into it with the younger German dude. They're not really that young, but they're acting like kids. And they're like, oh, good luck. I can even do an impersonation of his thing. But Trevette is like, kind of like, dude's trying to shake me. We're gonna beat him hard, right?
He's getting under his skin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And Walker's like, hey, don't let him do it. That's what he's trying to do.
Exactly. He's trying to get in your head, man. And he's like, oh, I see what he's doing. So Trevette, from the get-go in this episode, has a little riff with the younger German officer who's in the competition. And that goes up through the very end of this episode, so I feel like we need to get that on the record here, even though we don't. And Walker and Trevette, they go and do their shooting competition, and there's announcers, and it's the same thing we've seen a million times, and in the reunion episode too. And, of course, they tie with the German team. So it's like, oh, the German team is just as good as Walker and Trevette. This is going to be, a great competition, because we learned there are multiple stages of this competition. Let's move on. Please, God, please, God.
All right, so Trevette fields a call on his enormous brick cell phone that duty calls. There's been a murder at Forestwood Park, and it looks like a hit, so they call in the Texas Rangers to come check it out. So we transition, and they're at the crime scene. Walker's checking out a boot print, and he's like, hey, get a plaster cast of that boot print. Spoiler alert, this never comes back. But Trevette's like, he walks over, and this never comes back because Trevette walks over and he's like, oh yeah, I know this dude. I played football with him on the Cowboys. And it's like, that's right. We haven't leaned on that one for a while, so let's do that.
Right. Yeah, Trevette being in the Cowboys. And he was like, yeah, when he and I were in the Dallas Cowboys, the plaster casters came to our hotel room. And
yeah, where are you going with this one?
Plaster caster?
Yeah, the plaster cast. I don't know. He's like, I might have the plaster cast, and if we could match it with his dead body and see if this is my friend. That's what he said, right?
Cut that.
Yep. No. Yeah. Definitely leave that in. That's the lucky 7.
I don't know
baby.
if that was a real thing, but yeah.
Wait.
Good luck editing this.
Yeah, but
I don't remember any of that.
You never heard about this? Evan, are you familiar with this?
What?
Have you ever heard of the plaster casters?
No.
Google this right now. I got to get another beer.
I'm not gonna Google this. My computer's gonna blow up if I try to open it.
Bob's got this. I need to get another beer. I'm editing this, but if I'm going down with the ship, I'm gonna go down with the ship. You know what I'm saying?
Plaster Caster is a documentary film. Oh, the chick that made plaster casts of rock stars' penises. Including Jimi Hendrix.
Interesting.
That's probably the interview subjects. Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys. Wayne Kramer from MC5.
This was voluntary?
I mean, I assume so.
I mean, Jimi Hendrix, I feel like he passed out every night, so.
Or even if he was awake, he would have been cool with it. He was a pretty laid back dude. Free love, man.
Well, yep, that's a weird reference, so that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense that neither of us got it.
Yep.
Okay, so
we don't feel bad about not knowing what that was.
Well, that's how Trevette ended up identifying his Texas cowboy friend.
I'm not so sure.
But you guys had never heard of that before.
It sounded familiar once I remember hearing something about someone doing that, but Sounds like you watched the documentary. Did they show the actual process? You see a lot of dongs in that?
Well, you see, the weird part was when they showed the cast, there were just so many pubes.
Only the
But a lot of people have been trying to clone rock stars like Jimi Hendrix, and they got his pube from his plaster cast. Yeah, I mean,
look at the DNA. Is that what you're saying?
You're saying it's like a 40-year-old DNA sample that hasn't been preserved in any way possible is totally viable. Easy.
Dude, Jurassic Park, come on.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
Did they preserve it in amber as well? Or?
Well, that was like millions of years. I think this is only like 50 years. It's probably still good.
Exactly. And it wasn't amber, but yeah.
Okay. This is great. So Trevette's like, wow, we don't have to look this guy up. I know him. I played with him when I was on the Dallas Cowboys, America's football team.
And we're like, oh yeah, I remember he was on the Dallas Cowboys before he learned karate and became a Texas Ranger. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. So they just go straight to the guy's wife's house. And of course, Trevette, total old friend here.
This was the old friend. And he did have good bedside manner when he said, your husband gone.
And she's like, oh no. And I thought this was pretty hilarious when we learn about like how after he got injured, so Trevette got injured and struggled after the Cowboys, and so did this woman's husband.
And her husband saw Trevette, Jimmy, recover and go through all that turmoil, and that's what inspired him to kind of do the same.
Yeah, and every Sunday he always watched football, but recently she started noticing that he was rooting against the Dallas Cowboys.
What?
And
that was weird.
That's his team. I just thought that was strange.
Yeah, and as somebody who owns deathtofootball.com, I can kind of get it. I get it, but for the purposes of this podcast, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So you think it was a CTE injury that killed him, not gunfire?
Well, the CTE injury that this guy probably sustained while playing football with Trevette, and maybe Trevette has it too, could have caused him to become a gambler.
Well, I just want to say, Brett Favre, speaking of the plaster casters, he would have volunteered, but, he just came out saying that he had Parkinson's. So, So we can edit this out too, but, he definitely would have been a plaster caster if he had the opportunity.
Oh, he would have volunteered big time.
Adam, you can Wikipedia Brett Favre. All right.
Wait, he would have put up his pigskin for...
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was like sending D-pics to like sideline reporters.
Oh, he was for real?
Yeah, like back in the days, like flip phones.
Wait, now this sounds like Hanson. The way they've been doing. How come everybody who's a celebrity is bad? Even Dave Grohl cheats on his wife. I thought Dave Grohl was not a rock star.
How far the mighty have fallen? I know. It's like, man, he was on Sesame Street. He's got to be good.
Exactly. Half the people who had their penises plaster casted were on Sesame Street.
I mean, have you seen Grover's? Okay. So let's just say there's a lot of genetic material left over. Okay. So the red flag was he's rooting against the Cowboys. Like, no one roots against the Cowboys. He must be
out of his mind.
In it with sports betting, right? And the wife's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
I never really liked to think much about what he was doing. I just saw it.
Right. I mean, bring him his lucky 7 beers and get out of there because he's watching the Cowboys.
Yeah, because I don't want to watch that crap.
Fair enough. Back at the games, it's now the second event, which is an obstacle course, which appears to be like, imagine American Ninja Warrior with no production value and people going around in loops 3 or 4 times. Oh, and it's a relay race. A two-person
Right.
relay race.
Could you guys figure out the path, like how they knew which way to go? It was just at certain points, it's like, what are they doing? They're just running.
Bob, one assumes that the trial runs get quicker and quicker for each team that competes after because they're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like the first team is just a sacrifice. They're like, yeah, you figure out where it goes, and then everyone else will do the same.
Guys, can you stop over-analyzing it? It's just a game, okay?
It's never just a game.
Yeah.
Anyways, Walker and Cosmo have the initial round here, and Walker gets a little bit bested by Cosmo. Cosmo's a little taller, so I think I give him that. But while the competition's going on, you get to sort of montage of them doing this relay race, and there's another. What do we call this? A Walker track?
Yeah, this might be the most prominent Walker track and the longest played.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times they have dialogue over these background tracks made for TV that they must like have a prompt out to the songwriter who's in a room with a MIDI keyboard. They're like, we need a song that's gonna like fit this section, and here's what's going on, and they write it in like 2 seconds, and then they put it out. Because it's just a song,
I mean,
Well, it's just a game unless you lose, right?
this song is absolute fire. I mean, it gives it's basically like this episode's got like Rocky 2 vibes.
Oh,
yeah.
They actually copy some Rocky music at the end, but
yeah. So this is like the Survivor track to a Rocky. Rocky movie.
This to me was like almost Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne kind of thing. Like, I'm 18 and a little bit of Ozzy and let's
Survivor.
Just
Survivor.
Let it roll. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Let's just do it. Just gonna hit play on this and let's see what's up. And we are definitely
Those
recreating
bends, dude.
this.
Those bends are great.
Oh yeah.
It's just a game, all for fun. Who really cares? Who's number one? Sell, don't blow a fuse. It's just
the game.
Unless you lose, or when you win, they pat your back, a party's planned. Or when you lose, it's not the same. The music stops, it's just a shame. The winner laughs on easy street. The loser cries, no friends to me. He sings the song they call the blues. It's just a game of laughs.
Ooh, that guitar, man. Oh,
It's just a game.
And the second verse, like we're
yeah.
got some slow mo Walker running.
Take it back. Just don't forget the breaking news. It's just
a game.
unless you lose. Or when you win, the champagne flows. The women smile, the garden grows. When you lose, the sun won't shine. The children weep, nothing's fine. To have a ball, enjoy the run. Remember that it's all in fun. Try your best, lace up your shoes. It's just a game of laughs you lose.
Ooh.
It's just a game. It's all for fun. Who really cares?
This is the whole song.
I know. Talk about a montage.
It's just a game. Unless you lose.
Lose.
Oh, and the credits are still rolling at this point.
Shows how far we've gotten in the episode.
I know. Just a game, unless you lose.
So we're definitely gonna have to do a roundhouse. What you call it? Remaster.
Oh, I like that.
Reimagining?
Roundhouse remaster.
Reimagining.
And I think
the
Bob,
Roundhouse remaster.
Bob, you can cut drums for this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll set up my little electronic kit in here.
Evan, you got bass.
Yeah, let me see if I can get my little mini Qtron going on that. It needs it.
Oh, yeah.
It
Oh,
needs
yeah.
a level of cheese that. It's so dumb.
We got to get that at the end of this episode. If we are able to do it, it will be in this podcast. But
Yikes.
that song is outlandish. It's over the top. It's amazing.
Yeah, that montage goes on a good minute and a half longer than it has to. And that's sort of a theme of this episode.
When you have a banger track like that, though, you let it play out. You know, you're not gonna.
Yeah, you don't cut it short.
I mean, Bob's right. You get a full 2 verses there. It's kind of nuts.
I'm pretty sure they're the same too. I don't know. I wasn't. Well, it's a good thing is you have all the. Do you have all the lyrics from the transcription and Dropbox?
I do.
Perfect.
Yep, I'll have to correct him because it might mishear a few things, but it was pretty accurate because it was so loud in the mix in the TV show.
You know. Just a game until you lose.
You can't ignore. You can't ignore that.
No,
dude.
And you shouldn't.
I was dying the moment that song started ripping. I was like, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah, same here. I didn't really. I just wrote down the song was awesome, but I knew that Adam would like. Yeah, I didn't have to address that. I knew it was going to be handled. All right. So after the Germans win the relay race, man, like, how good are these Texas Rangers really if they just lost a relay race? We're like,
I mean, if they're neck and neck with foreigners,
it makes you think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like, they're from Europe, so they're probably using PEDs. Whereas, Walker and Trevette, I mean, that's Trevette's thing, right? He was a wide receiver, so it's speed, right? So, like, he should make up for Walker's inability. And Walker was in second place when they handed it off, but whatever. This is stupid. After the relay race, we see the pastor's son, who is featured prominently and obviously in turmoil.
He gets
the
a
time
call.
We see him, he gets a phone call
at the tournament. He's at the tournament supporting this.
Yeah,
and he gets a phone call, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there." And he's kind of like, "Oh, what's happening?" And we're like, oh, "Maybe he's gambling too. I don't know."
Yeah.
Was it established that he was a football player too, or what?
No, he was not. There's very little.
Just a
there's like
preacher's
no
son.
background.
So just coincidentally, one of Trevette's ex-football player buddies was also in the same gambling ring as this guy who that is kind of a
there's no other reason for that. Like, that's no callback or anything.
No. And we don't even know what the guy was like in debt for. We don't know.
I mean, we could say this about many things, but when like a bookie kills someone that owes them money, like, what's the advantage there? They don't get any money.
Yeah,
Now
everybody
they're definitely not going to get any money. Yeah,
You go for the leg.
Yeah, exactly. You threaten them. You threaten their family. You do a lot of other things, but you don't just kill them. Then you don't get anything. I don't know.
This is like the parasite that kills the host. It winks out in the evolutionary scale of time. Right. That said, he's used as an example, Bob. Okay, so in this scene, we see a shakedown. So the pastor's son goes in, and we see, the strong arm of the loan shark.
Where does he go when he goes into some random office away from, apparently this is where he was going when he got called from the tournament.
Yeah.
And some random office. We don't know where it is. There's a bunch of heavies there. And one's like, get in there. And some other guy who was being shaken down is just leaving. So we're like, oh, this must be the bookie office.
So here we've got, the loan shark. And he's like, let me show you this newspaper article. You see this dude? He's dead. And I did that.
And that could be you.
And you know what? That guy, he owed less than you do. And this is why he killed him, Bob, to make an example of him.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right.
I mean, not that I'm a loan shark in my side hustle, but yeah.
All right. Okay.
So, anyways, he's like, I'll get you the money. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. And he's like, no, I figured it out for you. See, your dad's doing this big fundraiser
at the church,
and they all dress up like those angels and all that. And they collect that money, and the way I see it is, you get some of my boys in there dressed up like them angels, and we take the money. And he's like, no, that money's for the poor. That money's for the poor. And and he's like, I don't think you have a choice anymore. And I'm thinking like, okay, so dressing up like angels, like what? Oh no, he's like, they dress up. What is that they call them? And he's like, the Power Angels.
Yeah, because the preacher's last name is Powers, but that never really got spelled out.
Thanks for making the connection, because I missed that. I missed that entirely.
Yeah, and it was easy to miss because it was dumb. But yeah.
Do you think they edited that out when they named the episode? Instead of Powers Angels, it's Power Angels?
I don't think there was a lot of editing in this episode.
Or a lot of thought. Okay. So I'm like, okay, wait, these bad guys are going to dress up like angels? Like, this is ridiculous. And indeed, it is ridiculous, because in the next scene, we see the pastor talking up his angels, and they're people in, like, angel costumes. Now, at this point, I'm going to throw a question out there, okay? At this point, has the show hit such a point where they're, like, wandering around, or they're, like, in a costume shop, or they're like going through the CBS studios and then look in the wardrobe and they're like, wait, we got like 6 angel costumes. What can we do with these? I mean, do you think that's what drove this part of it? Because this plot makes up about 30% of the episode, maybe 40% of the episode. There's not much in this. So they're like, well, we can do that, but we'll also have this ranger competition happening outside of it. But we got to use the angel costumes too. So how can we use those?
I mean, the angel costumes might be the best part of this episode. I'm going to say.
No doubt they are.
Like they're white church robes with an embroidered cross. And then they have almost like wings that look too small for any of the adults wearing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm gonna look on Amazon. Angel costume. Yeah, basically the first thing that comes up.
Looks just like it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
So like wings that are way too tiny with just like white feathers all over them, and then just a long white cloak.
At this church fundraiser, the people dressed in these angel costumes are holding the offering baskets, and then once these offering baskets get full, they take him to the accounting office.
We see the pastor talking up his power angels, and he's like, oh, almighty, you are going to be amazing, and we're going to give all this money to the poor. It's going to be fantastic. And he's like going through and like holding hands with all the power angels. And he gets to the last 2 guys, and they're just like these 2 guys who like, we recognize as bad guys because we've seen them in like 4 other Walker episodes at this point.
Yeah.
And they both look at each other like, oh yeah. And then you hear, ooh, 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 yeah, in the background.
Yeah.
Like,
and
wait,
there,
those
it's
are
like
the
the
bad
most
guys.
obvious like wrestler guys are wearing these angel costumes. It's like everybody else just looks like a normal human being, but these guys are just like 2 Walker bad guys wearing angel costumes, taking money in giant baskets. It's absurd.
Yeah, it's great. So that's like that's the cute commercial break is the scat in the background. That's supposed to induce goosebumps is when you hear that. That's what they're trying to do with the scat.
Sure.
So when we come back from the commercial break, the pastor's showing Alex and CD around. Like, why are Alex and CD the guests of honor for this fundraiser? I don't know. But leading them around and showing them around the facility, and one of the stops that he takes them to is the room where they count the money.
Yeah, and there's like a stack of like your standard offering plates behind them, and there's like 4 different bankers with cash counting machines and stuff. It's like,
yep.
4 guys.
It looks pretty sketchy. It looks pretty sketchy too.
It looks really sketchy.
Like,
but like the other thing is, they're like, and this is where all the money goes, and so it's the pastor, his son, Alex, and CD, and they're like proudly saying like, oh yeah, and all the money comes back in here, and then 80% goes back to the charities. And it's like,
what happens to 20%?
Oh, that's the overhead.
Right. It's like what? I mean,
they gotta wet their beak, you know.
Right, like why don't why don't people just give their money somewhere else? I don't know. And honestly, church finance, not my specialty, so maybe that could be very much be the overhead costs, particularly if you're throwing parties and bringing in evangelical choirs to sing all the time.
Yeah, it could be paying for that.
Or let alone your Power Angel costume budget, which has to be pretty high. You're just handing those things out.
Yeah. Well, the cleaning of them too. They look pretty crisp. But yeah, I mean, when Thornton Powers he holds his Care and Share crusade. I mean, it's called Care and Share Crusade. He's also taking part of it. You know, he's not saying I'm not going to give the whole thing. It's sharing.
True. We take our 20% share. I get it.
Exactly.
Okay. I get it.
He's really open about it in this giant sign that he has behind his gospel singers.
That's true. That's transparency right there. Okay. I like it. So he's showing them the accounts or whatever, and they leave the office, and then as they are leaving, the pastor's son sees the two goons in the angel costumes. They're just like walking around in angel costumes. Like,
I was dying at this too. This is great.
you're like, oh hey, nice place you got here. And he's like, oh no. And CD is like, son, you okay? And he's like, oh, I'm fine.
Right.
But he looks like he's seen a ghost because the cats have come to call here. Cut back to the competition here. And it's like this competition was made for Walker, right? So the next competition let me look back here. This is the Peacekeeper Games. Okay, Keep in mind that the Peacekeeper Games was initially a shooting competition. Then it was a foot race. Next, it's a Taekwondo challenge. Where you're just kicking and punching through ceramic plates.
Yeah, of varying heights. This is where I was like, wait. Like, standard, police procedure, they have to like get into Taekwondo.
No one said anything about police, man. This is the Peacekeeper Games.
Okay, not to be confused with the Care and Share Crusade, but
correct. Which for some reason the Peacekeeper Games is sponsoring or raising funds for. I don't know.
They don't get into it.
It doesn't matter. It's a Walker episode.
Okay.
So this is a Taekwondo plate breaking competition, and we see Cosmo from the German team. And, it's a whole circle of dudes like holding ceramic plates and blocks of wood. And then at the end, the last thing you're supposed to strike is a dude on someone else's shoulders holding a plate like 8 feet off the ground. And you're supposed to kick it.
Jump up and kick it and break the plates. And Cosmo, it's his turn. And he goes up to do it. And, he misses the plate.
Yeah.
They show a replay like 4 times of him missing it too.
Oh man, and his lackey's like so disappointed. His partner.
So I missed.
Yeah,
but he doesn't say that.
He said fudge, I think, something like that.
Scheisse.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that the German guy Cosmo, he missed that one plate, and his score was 100 out of 150.
Yeah, let's not get into the math. So who was up next? It was Walker was up next.
It was Walker. Did you hear the sound effects here? Every time they punched I think there might have been a sound when he hits the plate.
when he hit plates.
And then he's barefoot. So he's walking around and there's all these broken pieces of, like, that's a real, like, concern on the set, I would think, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets to the end and
he's able to jump up in the air and hit the plate, and then it moves him to the next round. And let's go to the next scene, please.
So Judy comes into the Ranger headquarters. She sees Trevette and Walker, and Trevette walks up to her and he's like, "How are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm fine."
Yeah, my husband, he was shot in the park.
He was just like gunned down.
I think he was
in
gambling, but but you know what? I was going through some old receipts, and he used to go to this bar, and the name of the bar was
Weasel's Sports Bar.
Sports Bar. One. That's definitely going on the bar names list here.
I mean, she rebounded quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Judy is doing all right for herself.
Yeah,
she's got a great house. She didn't have to pay off any gambling debts because her husband got killed. So, pretty good.
They might come for her next, but that remains to be seen. But so she leaves a stack of receipts with Walker, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna have to go check this place out."
Oh yeah, for sure. So they go to Weasel's Sports Bar, and this is different. They show up, and there's already a fight going on. And as the dedicated serve and protect law enforcement officers they decide to make the fight worse. They instigate the people who have instigated the fight and basically beat the crap out of everybody in the bar. That's great. Classic Walker bar fight, and I didn't go back and watch, but at least at one point in time, I feel like there was an inserted punch or kick sound effect. There was like an additional one in there at least.
There were the audio dubbing on this episode. There's a few more examples I have in my notes. It was not quite where we would expect. A little lacking.
I liked how they wreck house, and what was the whole point of them going there?
To see if anyone's betting there.
They fight a bunch of people, and then the owner comes out and he's like, Oh, thank you so much. That was awesome to see you guys fight, even though my insurance won't cover it, but it was still super cool. Oh, you're Go Long Trevette.
Yeah. Well, before he even recognizes them, they're like, we're pretty sure that this guy's been gambling here. And the guy's like, oh, I don't know anything about that. I try to keep a tight ship, but it's just me here.
Oh, we're
And
not
like,
worried about that, man.
Right. They're like, well, a bunch of people just assaulted a police officer and we just told him to leave. And then you're running a gambling ring, or gambling's happening here. You're complicit, but we don't care about that either. Just give us the name of the dude who this guy who was murdered has been working with. And he's like, oh, that's Jackson. He's down at the gym. And it's like, okay, we just got a bar shakedown. We're going to get a gym shakedown now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So they go over to the 4th Street gym.
And do they ever?
My notes for this are shakedown Jackson at gym, fight, gun, killed, scat music.
Yeah, it sums it up pretty well. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, they pretty much show up there, and he's like pumping iron, and they're like, hey, he's like, what do you want from me? And they're like, we just want to ask some questions. And then he goes to his gym bag, pulls a gun, and Walker shoots him. Done.
Yeah, easy peasy.
And he not going to be giving away, when he answers. I think Trevet's like, oh, do you think that's it? Do you think he was the one doing it? And, Walker's like, doesn't look like he was the brains of the operation.
Yeah, he's like, no, man, he was too stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So, there's like scat music after the guy dies. And then, they're going over like, oh, do you think he did it? And that's because they find like basically a hit list in his gym bag.
Like literally a black book in his gym bag.
And they're reading over this, right? And they're like literally like carting off a dead body, and people are being let out of there in handcuffs. And if you look at the scene, it's like the production crew rented out the gym for filming, but there are still people dedicated enough at the gym that they're like still working in the background.
I waited 15 minutes for this treadmill. I'm not going to give that time up.
Right. They're like, so in the context of the show, it's like, okay, this is an active crime scene. There was just a gunfight here like 20 minutes ago, but I'm working the elliptical right now. And in reality, it's like, well, okay, we rented out half this gym, but the other half of the gym people can still use.
I don't know if they were thinking that much about it. They're probably just like, it'd be cool to have some people in the background so to make it look like a gym. Regardless, he gone. Next scene.
We see CD, Alex, and the pastor up on stage jamming out to an evangelical choir that's really just ripping into a version of Crossing Over to the Other Side here.
This is also a contender to be remade. To the other side. We're crossing over to the other side. Keyboard slap bass. I mean, ooh.
Got that covered right here.
Solid.
Oh.
Is this song all about just dying? And crossing over to the other side, right?
Yeah, it's kind of morbid.
Yeah.
A little Triton action.
Crossing over. Oh, yes, we are.
They have the angels just taking money in their laundry baskets.
Yeah, the two goons in their angel costumes, just they're too much. It's too much. It's too much.
But they really let the music roll in this episode.
For sure. So they're jamming out while the pastor's son is feeling conflicted. So he's like having a confession in the back room. And then, like, in the middle of his confession about what he's doing, there's, like, a jump scare where the two goons are like, oh, you're not going to do anything about this.
While wearing their angel costumes.
Right.
These two beefcakes come in and go, oh, you can pray to him, but if you don't do this, you're dead.
Right. In fact, it's going down now. So I thought they were looking for bigger fish to fry than this, right? I thought they were going to go after, like, all the money from the fundraiser. This just seemed like people's contributions during church. But they seem satisfied with that, and they bust into the accounting office, and the heist is on.
Right. The guy looks through the peephole, says, oh, it's a guy in an angel costume. I'm going to let him in. And then the other guy is there with a gun when he opens it. He pistol whips him. He goes to the ground. They tell the pastor's son, they make it look like he's innocent too, and say, hey, if you don't help us, we're going to shoot you. So grab all that money and let's get out of here.
Meanwhile, Walker and Trevette are investigating who the employer of the guy they just shot was, the muscle. And so they go and interview this dude, McMartin of his lumber company. And he's the guy we saw shaking the pastor's son down earlier. So we know he's the bad guy already. But, he gives off bad guy vibes like immediately. Back at the church, we see the song finish up and the pastor's all like, whoa, man, perfect pitch is no problem when God's dancing on your vocal cords. And then someone comes out from the back room and is like, hey, just so you know, like someone just stole like $50,000 from you. And he's like, another song.
I guess Satan was dancing on my vocal cords.
Yeah. And CD calls Trevette and Walker and is like, yeah, something's going down here. It's a big robbery. And like this all, like everyone's informed of what's going on and everything before like they even leave the premises with the money. There's a showdown at the, cheesy 90s car that these bad guys are stuffing money into the trunk of. And the pastor comes out and he's like, oh, may God have mercy on your souls. And the tall angel dude with the gun is like, may God have mercy on yours. And then just like goes to shoot him. And the son jumps in the way. He's like, no.
Takes a bullet for his paw because he knew it was his fault. And
yeah. So Walker shows up. And Walker jumps out of the driver's seat and runs over to make sure that everyone's okay. And of course, the son is not okay, but he decides to call 911 to the security guard and then runs back to the truck, at which point Trevette has assumed the wheel.
Yeah, this was confusing.
I was like, wait, I don't think I've ever seen Trevette drive the Dodge Ram. And I was like, there's got to be a reason for this, right?
Oh, yeah. And there is.
It's to poke fun at Trevette. So Walker,
something else. We'll get to it.
So at this point, the tall angel got shot. So I just want to say that Walker guns down an angel in an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger, before a car chase ensues. But this car chase ensues, and Walker pulls out his phone and starts punching in some numbers. And Trevette's like, "You calling for backup?" And Walker's like, "No, I'm calling my insurance company." And Trevette's like, "You serious right now?" And Walker's like, "No, I'm calling for backup."
Okay, that was kind of funny. Not. But then the other angels are running, and they're driving. Trevette follows this car chase for a little bit. He keeps up, and eventually the guy in his getaway car has to get out on foot, dressed as an angel. And
running through the city. And he's not even really running. It's more of a brisk jog.
Yeah.
There's a couple
so Trevette pulls up next to him, and Walker reaches out of the car, and does he punch him in the face?
He punches him in the face into some garbage.
Yeah. And that's why Walker wasn't driving, because they couldn't have done that.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
I was like, is that a vehicular transference? Do we have a word for this? Like jump punch is a thing. Car punch?
That was like a drive punch.
Drive-by punch? Yeah. Truck punch.
Yeah.
Driving sock.
We've seen it before.
Have we?
We've also seen a drop-in punch where he jumps out of a plane and punches that woman in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But in rodeo.
The other one, I think he just grabbed him by the jacket when he did this move.
Yeah.
And he was driving at the same time.
Yeah.
This one, he was in the passenger seat so he could actually sock and punch an angel as well.
Yeah. So the hilarious bit of this is these two criminals, they engaged in a gunfight while wearing angel costumes, like cheesy angel costumes. And then a dude just got like punched out in an alley while wearing an angel costume. And then they pull over and shake the guy down and basically get the information they want out of him by threatening lethal injection to a dude dressed as an angel.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, my boss is this," and they're like, "Okay." They might have just left him there in the alley.
Yeah,
but then he immediately caves.
Yeah.
Some of the acting in this episode was rough.
Fabulous.
Magical. I loved it.
Now they are able to connect the dots, and they know that McMartin, the guy at the lumber yard, is the mastermind of all this. So they have a showdown at the lumber yard, and this starts with the guy at the lumber yard waiting for his money to show up, but instead he looks out the window and sees the Ranger's truck just like
peeling across his yard, lawn.
It hits like a devastating pothole. Like,
and why are you driving so fast?
Like,
Like,
right, like,
I didn't get that at all.
it's like the most devastating pothole I can imagine for that poor truck.
Yeah.
Just
So
like,
he
boom.
sees this happening. He sees the Rangers coming in their truck in the most weird way through his window. So his solution is not to go out the back door, but he goes on the front and just starts shooting at them.
Well, yeah, he grabs his gun and is like, yeah, okay, we're doing this.
It's on. It's on. Unbelievable. Yeah. So they essentially, start chasing him through this lumber yard and are hiding behind cars and trading fire with him. And then eventually he's in the middle of the lumber yard. They don't know where he is. And Trevette's like, come on out, man. And guy's like, you're going to have to come get me. So then we pan up to above where the bad guy is. And there just happens to be a crane that's suspending, how many planks of lumber up there?
Yeah, just a bunch of wood.
Just a whole bunch of 2x4s.
Just sitting there, like that's how you'd leave it in the yard, right? If you own that business,
Yeah.
you just leave it up.
Yeah, man,
What
for
could go
sure.
wrong?
Exactly. So
For sure.
Walker's like, well, if he's not going to come out, I might as well kill him with a bunch of planks. So he shoots his gun at the one strap and nails a strap. The lumber falls down. The guy goes diving. They get the bad guy.
We assume that they take him into custody, but it's possible they kill him too, because that seems to be their form of justice. But we get to see redemption at the hospital. We still don't really know what the redemption is for, but the son comes to, and CD is there, and the pastor's there, and the son's like, oh, I saw God when I almost died, and he told me it's not my time. And CD says to the father, like, well, if God forgave him, then who are we to say? And the pastor's like, well, I was kind of pissed at you, but...
Right. And did you really...
but in the present...
Did God really come to you, or are you just saying that?
Or was it the goon in an angel costume that you saw when you passed out? Like,
right. Because I still can't believe that the angels were stealing money either. But,
we had that redemption. For what? We don't know. He could have been, the snack vendor for that gambling ring, and he could have been cheaping them on money. I don't know.
For years.
Yeah, he could have been price gouging. That might be what they got him for.
Well, he was borrowing money, so I don't think he was taking from the church. He was borrowing to gamble, I'm assuming. But we don't know.
We don't know. We'll never know.
But regardless, it doesn't matter. He was redeemed, and his dad still loves him, and that's what we care about. So one thing that's unresolved is this really BS competition between the Germans and seemingly the only two teams in this competition, the Texas Rangers and the Germans. But what happens? So what's the last match? What's happening?
Well, what really happens is Evan checks how much time is left on the episode.
Yeah, same.
And realizes there's 8 minutes, and Evan gives a really deep sigh because he knows what's coming. The final competition is the Peacemaker competition. Okay, remember, first one, gunfighting. Second one, foot race. Third one, taekwondo punching of plates. And fourth one, of course it's going to be fighting. Boxing, baby.
Yep. We had a number of Walker boxing episodes already. This is like a sampler platter of different episodes, almost.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I know nothing about boxing except for like Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
I mean, anything I learned about boxing, I learned from Walker,
Yeah, right. Joey Prado.
Yeah. Respect. Throw it out to Joey Prado, who coincidentally played Superboy, another DC reference here. We have Perry White on this episode. So anyway, moving on. What happens? It's not Walker fighting. It's Trevette having to box the beefcake German dude who he's had a beef with the whole time. And he's like, man, it's going to be over when the fat lady sings. And the German guy's like, what does that mean, man? I don't even know what that is. And Trevette's been saying that the whole episode, and we're like, okay, man, you're leaning on a little thick, Trevette, but whatever. And why are you getting so butthurt if you lose to this guy? As the song says, It's just a game.
Unless you lose.
Walker is in one corner and Cosmos in the other corner, doing
their advice is identical.
Yeah, they like to yell box. Did you notice that? There's a lot of yelling of just the word box.
Just box.
Just box. Box.
And did this also feel like they could have done one bout? They had like three bouts, and it's like, oh man, this is going on forever. And every time, it just seems like the two are going at each other and not really following the blocking rules of boxing and covering your core. They're just like trying to hit each other in the head.
Yeah, I mean, if I followed anything with boxing, I would probably be laughing at this or something. I don't know. They were playing it off like it was humorous. But basically, they just like totally wail on each other instead of like trying to defend against blows or anything like that. They're just like going at it.
At the end, they're like, man, it's that fat lady I hear in my head that the German says. And Trevette's like, man, it might be that fat lady I'm hearing in my head because they both beat the crap out of each other. And then they show it's a tie. And then who won the competition? It was just a tie between the Germans and the Texas Rangers for the whole thing?
I think so.
Yeah. I guess so. Huh?
All right.
Yeah, because we go to the next scene, which is back at the church. And this is like the end of Star Wars is what I thought of.
Yeah. Oh, and during that fight, there was definitely...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The first two... No, it was funny. The first two rounds had like chicken picking guitar. It was like Wicked Country. And the third round, straight up Rocky ripoff.
It was like one note off or something.
Yeah.
All right, so we go back to the church after the fight, and everyone's having their happy ending. And as Bobby said, this is like the end of Star Wars kind of thing.
The pastor introduces them. He's like, oh, and I'd like to thank Rangers Walker and Trevette.
And we're going to give them 5% of our 20.
You bet.
And then as he says that, Walker and Trevette get a call from the bat signal, and they have to rush off to the next case. And that's the end of the episode. I thought it was kind of a cool way to do it.
Yeah, interesting freeze frame. That's not something you typically get.
Yeah, we usually get a joke at Trevette's expense, which I'm glad that they did that earlier in the episode, not at the end.
Oh, we missed the fact that Trevette, after the car chase, was like, Walker, I kind of like that. That was kind of fun. Can I drive your truck more often? And Walker's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and he makes him give his keys back. And we're like, oh, wow. So that was a random occurrence, him actually driving the truck.
All right, well, that about sums up this beast of an episode. When we come back, it'll be time for us to each rate Power Angels on a scale of 0 to 10 boots to the face, resulting in our patented Roundhouse Roulette episode ranking, the complete results of which are available on our website, roundhouseroulette.com. Don't you dare go away.
Let's go, Evan.
Why don't you have a seat?
What's this all about?
You know what it's about.
The podcast editing?
Well, look at that. He does have a brain after all. How many podcasts you wager he needs to edit for us now, Bob?
Well, this would be our 74th, not including movie, interviews, and bonus episodes.
I don't have the time for that, but if you give me a few years.
Years?
You don't have to worry about time. I've got it all figured out for you, little brother. All right. You're going to reach out to your listeners and Patreon supporters, especially those who pitch in at the Ranger level to help power the podcast.
Yeah, the Power Rangers.
Exactly. You're going to divert their money to us so we can hire an editor and record the podcast more consistently for Roundhouse Nation.
Either that or we lock you in the basement with the promise of carpal tunnel syndrome from editing 74 podcasts.
Whoa. Guys, that's what our listeners have been doing all along with their support. By joining us on Patreon or picking up a vintage action figure at roundhouseroulette.com. I'm under the impression they help pay for our monthly hosting. And they power the shenanigans here at Roundhouse Roulette headquarters. Most importantly, they help us deliver the light of Walker, Texas Ranger to the world.
You know what? You're right. What if we just ask our listeners to share the pod with a friend or leave us a kind review on Apple Podcasts?
Now that would truly help other Walkerites find the cast. No need for me to do any extra work.
Bob, why are you dressed up like a Power Ranger?
Because it's morphin' time.
Whew. I successfully avoided having to edit yet again. Let's get back to the show. Welcome back. Let's dissect this one, because I think we're going to be all over the map on this.
Well, there was a few things in this episode that were okay.
Before we get into it, Evan, what are the stats of this episode?
All right, so the credits ended at 12 minutes and 6 seconds, which might not seem like egregiously long. That said, that's like a third of the way through the episode. And plot-wise, they were happening like real far in. There were 3 fights, 3 roundhouse kicks, and a car chase. 0 explosions. And the highlighted bar name is the Weasel Sports Bar.
Excellent. All right. So, yeah, Bob, what do you got?
This wasn't one of my favorites. Let me put it that way. I felt like the whole episode kind of had, like, the acting was a little off. I don't know if they were, like, trying to make this like another show, and I wasn't familiar with that show or something. It just seemed a little weird. And, yeah, the whole football player thing, I was like, oh, I wonder what that's going to mean. Oh, nothing? Okay. It's like,
yeah.
And the whole church thing, where did that come from? I don't know. It just seemed like they just kind of threw a bunch of stuff together. I will say the punch from the car or from the truck probably is a point in itself for me. That said, I'm going to go 4. It wasn't terrible. I had a pretty good pace.
Yep.
But it wasn't really that great.
Bob, I like where you're coming from. I'm kind of with you on this one. How I would describe this episode, I would describe it as impressive, because I was shocked when we basically resolved the entire church plot to this whole thing, and there were still 8 minutes to spare. Yeah. Like, props to the editor, props to whoever wrote this thing, because you fit 2 plots in a 40-minute episode. Like, that's kind of insane in and of itself, but also, like, it distracted from things. Like, sure, you had Walker being the best at everything, right? But then again, Walker and Trevette don't win the competition. They tie with the Germans.
Yeah, that was weird.
Sure, you definitely have your little bit of ludicrous, which is bad guys dressed as angels getting shot and punched from cars. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That said, like, that's like almost like an afterthought for the episode. Mm-hmm. So, you know, do I think this episode gets a 4? I don't think it was that bad, because it fits in a bar fight and a gym fight and like weird trial stuff and a car chase, but it doesn't excel. I would say right down the middle, I'm going to give it a 5, I guess.
Yep.
Also, it's season 7 and there were no explosions. Come on now.
That was a little rough. Yeah, this one had a lot of hallmarks of Walker, and it had a lot of the camp that I like of Walker in here, especially the beefcakes going undercover, these beefcake bad guys to wear angel outfits to steal offering money at a church. I mean,
but like, they were only in those angel costumes collectively for like a minute.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
It would have been way better if they were like half the episode. They were like, you get these menacing angels.
I would have preferred that they got rid of the international tournament. That was complete boring. Every time that was on, I could care less about it. I wanted to see these crazy bad guys in angel costumes stealing from a church. I would watch a whole episode of that, but they didn't give us that. That said, this was very much a Walker episode, even though it was kind of strange.
The music.
There we go. There were multiple jams, okay, in this. That's kind of why this makes it like a pretty good Walker episode. Nothing super memorable. I think I'm going to go 5 as well, because I would say, yeah, if you watch this, you'd get the vibe of a Walker, but it doesn't have like something that we're going to be talking about too much going forward, besides the beefcakes as angels stealing money from a church. Which was pretty outlandish. I did like that. And the music in this one might be some of the best music we've heard in Walker.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that gives this episode Around Us rating of 4.666 boots to the face. Ah! And I think we can all agree that angel costumes are going to be one of the hottest selling costumes this Halloween season. But if you feel otherwise, or if you agree with us, let us know what you think on social media or by emailing us at roundhouseroulette@gmail.com. When we come back, We'll spin that Roundhouse Roulette wheel and select our next episode.
Don't go away.
All right, Bob, you ready to spin that wheel?
You bet.
I don't like where this is going to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Season 8, Episode 5, Tall Cotton.
I don't like where this is going to go. We've had some real stinkers. It's hard to know whether there's going to be a stinker and what's going to be good. But I almost wondered if we each should have gotten one veto.
No,
each of us got one reroll.
Let's just say we're getting these out of the way so we can get to the bangers, okay?
Oh, man, I don't know. This one could go so wrong.
All right, you ready? Tall Cotton, original air date, October 23rd, 1999. Gage goes undercover to find his missing sister, a reporter who disappeared while investigating a notorious crime boss.
Okay.
This could be good. I mean...
this is like, sort of the debut season for Gage and Sydney, right? So,
I'm excited to see a Gage-centric episode.
I'm relieved to hear the synopsis, so... All right.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse, and it could still involve a cotton plantation. It's still possible.
It's still good.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Jeez. Yeah, but again, if you guys want to reach out, call to action this month, follow Scott Prop and Roll on Instagram and TikTok. He's got amazing content, behind the scenes props and stuff. And if you feel so inclined, reach out and say, hey, you should talk to the Walker Texas Ranger podcast Roundhouse Roulette and get into it, man. Do your thing.
Get in the weeds, bro.
Like a Walker machine.
Awesome. All right. Well, we hope you join us next time when we share our reactions to Season 8, Episode 5, Tall Cotton. And in the meantime, share your opinions with us on Facebook or Instagram at Roundhouse Roulette and Twitter at Roundhouse Pod. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. And until next time,
may the eyes of the Ranger be upon you.
When you're in Texas, look behind you. Oh, 'cause that's where the Ranger's gonna be. It's just a game, it's all for fun. Who really cares? Who's number one? Enjoy yourself. Don't blow up views. It's just a game unless you lose. Or when you win, they shake your hand, they pat your back, party's playing. When you lose, it's not the same. The music stops, it's just a shame. When you're not so easy street, loser crowds, no friends to meet. Sing a song they call the blues. Just a game unless you lose. It's just a game, so have a blast. Take it slow, take it back. Just don't forget the big and lose. It's just a game, unless you lose. Or when you win the champagne bowl, the women smile, the gardens grow. When you lose, the sun won't shine. Women think nothing's fine. Have a ball, enjoy the run. Remember that it's all in fun. Try your best, lace up your shoes. It's just a game unless you lose. Ow. Wow. It's just a game. It's all for fun. Who really cares? Who's number one? Enjoy yourself. Don't blow up views. It's just a game unless you lose. Don't be a sore sport now, Roundhouse Nation.